I made a video last week called Nice Guys Are Usually the Problem. And I find it very interesting that some people in the comments don't really know what a nice guy truly is. Someone's comment was actually really ironic to me about the person who I was talking about in that video. And I saw that person last night and I spoke to him about his behavior. But let's get to the comment first. I don't even think that this guy can be considered a nice guy. He's simply extremely self-centered, entitled, and spoiled. Just from what the stuff you're saying, this guy is greedy and only wants stuff for himself, like the world owes him something, and then acts like a little kid when he's not getting what he's asked for. Not a nice guy, just a bad person. You know, what you're exactly describing is a nice guy. Am I lying? Some people did reply and acknowledge this as well. The guy who I was talking about in that video, like most to all nice guys, they're only nice or trying to be emotionally comforting because their end goals are self-centered and they may not even be consciously aware of it. And then when they get rejected or they get broken up with, they become entitled and spoiled. You mentioned this guy is greedy. Yeah, like nice guys tend to be. They keep score and they only act like nice guys to women because their only motivation to do so is because they want something transactional or something in return for doing something nice or caring for someone rather than just doing it just because. No, it has to be because you're fantasizing about being in a relationship or trying to play hero to this I can fix her type of situation with the girl you're talking to. And it's good. This is going to hurt some people's feelings. Like, you listen, you want to fix her, right? Because you feel like there's gold at the end of the rainbow. You want them to feel like that. It's inauthentic. It's fake. And I am heavily still in the opinion that most nice guys are not really nice guys. So truth be told, it's performative. People will disagree because it will hurt their ego, realizing that they're selfishly motivated and don't want to be associated with being called a bad person. Being called a bad person is way more hurtful and negative, even though your internal mental state and your subconscious motivation to do nice guys things are not matching the facade or gimmick that is going on externally. This is actually the 32nd law in the 48 laws of power. Play into people's fantasies. This is how you win friends and influence people. This is how you gain leverage over people. You play into people's fantasies. You play into a fantasy that it gives you leverage over people that I feel like people who brag and boast about being a gentleman and I'm such a gentleman, I'm such a nice guy to women, what I'm saying? They use me and they're like, y'all use this because you give some enchanting and authentic narrative about who you are. You get to like first, or if you're lucky, you get to second base. And then when the show is over, you seen the cartoons? When they yank you off the stage by the cane, you ever seen this stuff before? They literally hook you off the stage, boo, boo, and then this is like the equivalent of getting mad that you got yanked off the stage. You got yanked off the stage. You're on the side right now, right? And like you're gonna be like, but my act was good, my script and my content was good, my performance was so good, but they yanked you off the stage anyway, and the crowd wasn't feeling you. And that reaction to that whole act that you pulled off is not being received well. And that's how you're acting about that? It's entitlement. It feels like the world owed you something. And then you start acting like a kid when you don't get what you want. Like, I thought I did all this though. I was acting like a monkey on stage. I was doing a humiliation ritual just to make myself seem like a nice guy to this girl. Oh, look at you now. Look at you. Now, this is how y'all be acting with women after you pull this nice guy front. You're on stage and they yank you off by the cane. And then when they do that when they realize this ain't real. And then y'all act weird. I stopped trying to be the nice guy a few years back because I'm just not that guy. If I do something nice for you, I don't even think twice about it. And if you disrespect me or turn your back to me, I don't even think about any of the nice things I feel like I'm owed from you in return. Have I acted that way in the past? Yeah. Did it make me reactive and start acting spoiled, entitled, and greedy? Yeah. Yeah, like I felt like I'm owed something because I was there for you. Instead of just being there because I just wanted to be there, So like last night when I met the guy from that video, I was at a bridal shower. I should make a whole video about this experience, by the way. They had Bad Bunny playing at the loudest possible volume. The whole family is Hispanic, right? And I don't speak Spanish. So I'm confused the whole time. And they're always yelling. And I can't understand what they're yelling about because I don't even speak English, you know what I'm saying? So I literally did not participate in any of the games because, it's just, you know what I'm saying? I pulled out my tablet and I was reading a book in the middle of the bridal shower. Literally, I wasn't talking to anyone. I was just reading a book. And look, I'm just here to support the bride and the groom for the wedding in a few weeks, okay? I don't know any of y'all like that besides the bride, the nice guy, and my girlfriend, right? So I was reading for like a solid hour through the loud noise. And I was sitting next to the guy the whole time, right? The nice guy. And I got bored of reading and I was like, I looked at him and I said, "So, how you feeling?" I had heard something about your situation, but I don't know the details. Obviously, I'm playing dumb because I do know the details. But this is how you extract information out of people. So, I asked that question, right? And that's it. I held myself back. I could have just kept going. I asked that question, and he started ranting for like 45 minutes, like nonstop, blah 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 blah, blah. And just listen to him, listen to him, and all I did was ask very bland questions whenever I had a chance to speak. I think I said a maximum of like 20 words maybe in a 45-minute rant. And I asked the following questions. And you're going to see where I'm going with this because I knew what I was doing way early. The first question I asked him was, do you feel resentment towards her? The second was, do you still love her? And the third was, this isn't a proselytizing question, but do you have faith in your future? After hearing those questions answered and continuing the conversation after those 45 minutes, because now it kept going, we actually spoke for like 2 hours at this point. Most of what he said to me was him talking about what he did for her. He did so much for her, right? That's mostly what he spoke about. But I noticed little patterns in his speech. And now I'm hearing a bit more about his side of the story, And it's like he did do a lot for her. He really was a nice guy. He supported her a lot. But there's little like hiccups in what he's saying. And this is why I framed the questions the way I framed it. And that's why I played dumb when I first started the conversation. Because if I just started explaining what I heard he did, I would never get this information. So he's like, yeah, I helped her out. But, one night I called her 30 times in a row and she didn't pick up. So that's why I locked her out the bedroom when she came home at 2 a.m. Interesting. Interesting reaction. I'm not perfect either. I was always angry. And when I get angry, it gets really bad. I never put my hands on her, but I would start yelling, what I'm saying? He's like, when I get angry, it's really bad. But I'm trying to help her through her mom's passings. It's very frustrating. Interesting things to say. You mean not making her feel safe to be around you at times because you're angry, but then you attach to something about how you're being nice. Like you attach, like I'll get really angry and I get scary when I'm angry, but I'm just trying to help her. Interesting thing to say. It's interesting that you immediately always attach something nice that you're doing after the things, what I'm saying? Oh, when I kicked her out the house, she has no clothes right now. She's sleeping at her sister's house right now as we speak, which I don't know how she's doing that because there's no room there. I have all her clothes, so I don't know what clothes she's wearing. She tried to contact my mom the other day to ask for her clothes and her stuff back. And I told my mom, don't respond to her or get involved. I want her to contact me directly and ask for her stuff back. She needs to grow up and confront me. All I did was ever support her and love her and everything I gave to her. I gave her a place to live. She needs to be an adult and speak to me for her stuff back. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So you're holding her possessions hostage and attaching it. Here we go again. You see what I'm saying here? This nice guy persona thing. Well, you helped her and supported her, but look how you acting though. Like, imagine someone's holding on to your stuff. So I held him accountable for this, and I told him. And see, this is how you gotta talk to people. I feel like I calculated this whole conversation while I was listening to him rant. I already knew all this stuff. I knew all this stuff already. And about based on how much he's ranting, I figured out though that he's already locked into his beliefs, right? Based on how he's ranting. He's angry and stuff like that. I could tell he's frustrated as he's ranting. So I know that he already came to a conclusion about something. So I'm not gonna sit there and try to debate him or argue with him. Some people they're just gonna believe what they're gonna believe, right? So if I were to be aggressive towards his opinions or feelings, he wouldn't listen to me. I know this for a fact. I've been around enough people. So you may have noticed earlier, every time I responded, I proposed it as a question. So I would hold him accountable and be like, I said, yeah, me personally, I grew up very angry. This reminds me of my ex. She never wanted to confront her situation. She always ran from it. But then I realized that I'm just making myself more stressed and I'm acting a little bit weird chasing after her because of how I'm reacting to her, being the way that she is. You mentioned that she didn't answer your calls one night. And one of the biggest mistakes I made in my past relationships is being reactive over something. Yo, how do you feel about giving away her clothes or throwing her stuff away? Because sometimes when you leave pictures or clothes or anything belonging to someone else, it'll constantly remind you of them, right? Does it make you think about her and feel more resentment because she's constantly being a reminder to you because of her stuff being here? You see how I framed that? I personally, I don't think he should throw away her clothes. Give it back to her. Like, bro, it doesn't matter how much you did for her. Yes, you were nice to her. Yes, you supported her. Yes, you gave her a place to live. You emotionally supported her in her mom's passing. But you see what I said. I offered a potential. First, I started off with being relatable. Remember, I made a whole video about this. When you give speeches or give lectures or, when you give presentations, always start off with something relatable because that's how you hook somebody to listen to you. So I was like, I started off with something relatable. It's like, yeah, my ex, I grew up very angry. All right. So both things are true, by the way. I grew up very angry and my ex is just like this girl, by the way. So I was like, yeah, but, here's a suggestion, right? And then I offered a potential suggestion. And then you notice that I fed his ego a little bit. I made him acknowledge, yo, you have power to literally throw away her clothes, even though personally inside my head, I don't think that's a good idea. Even though it's a bad thing to do, you can do it because you're resentful, right? It's constantly reminding you of her and the things you did for her. And I framed it like that because the way he's absorbing the information, it's going to force him to self-reflect on what he can and can't do. You could throw her stuff away, but you are also going to be constantly reminded. Remember, I did ask him 2 questions originally. Do you feel resentment towards her? Do you still love her? You know what he said to those? I never gave y'all the answer to that. He said, yes, he feels resentment, which I think is justified because we're human, right? He feels entitled to something, which I don't feel like you should be doing that, but I understand the resentment part. It's a normal response. And he said he still loves her. That's why I set him up with these questions about this stuff later. You're mad at her, but you love her. But you're holding leverage over her because you feel like you should be you feel like she should be doing something specifically for you still, even though y'all are not together or speaking on terms anymore. Yeah, she got to talk to me specifically for her clothes back and all her possessions. And a lot of nice guys love doing this. You support someone, you're nice to them, etc., etc., etc. But then when you lose power over them, 48 laws of power, the fantasy, and then like the show, you get pulled off the stage by the hook, and you lose power over the person, and the act ain't working anymore, and now your true colors start getting exposed, and you don't know how to react, you still trying to run on the stage. You do self-centered, entitled, and spoiled things. You do greedy things. You only want stuff for yourself. The world owes you something. You act like a little kid. But like the comments said, that's not a nice guy. That's just a bad person. And I know there's some people like literally in the comments thinking like yo, or some people watching thinking like, well, he's bad. He should. Why are you saying something about he's mad? So obviously he's going to react in a way. Listen, are you sure these two are not common or consistently correlated, where people do nice things to someone and secretly feel owed something because their performance is not hitting anymore? So they act entitled, spoiled. Is it not a common thing, especially with nice guys? Like if you say no to this, right? And like I'm gonna address what I just mentioned a moment ago about like some people feel like, well, I'm angry, so this is how I'm reacting to this anger. Well, I feel like this might be a self-awareness or an ego problem. And I'm talking to the people who think that they're nice guys and act exactly like this guy. You're only nice when there's something in return, even if you don't consciously think about it. You're only doing this because you want to play into people's fantasies. And there are nice people out there who don't keep score. But there's a reason why a lot of you quote nice guys, which I don't think is a positive term, by the way. So I wouldn't go around calling myself a nice guy, even if you believe it's a positive. It's just not I don't think it's a positive term, especially with what's attached with this. A lot of you nice guys keep getting crushed for this reason. You're only nice for transactional purposes, not because you can do it, not just because you can be nice. And that's why I told him he's justified for feeling resentment. He's justified for being angry because someone he supported turned their back to him, right? And just like did what she did. But it's always going to hurt you when you invest your time and energy into somebody and then they leave, right? It's a normal feeling. But your reactions and how you're acting after is not okay. That's what I'm saying. Just because, you like, yeah, they're right to be angry. You're correct. They're right to be angry. But how they're acting after and the reaction, like I said, locking her out the house, doing this and that, holding her clothes hostage in her possessions, like, all right, you lose power over somebody, you want to gain it back somehow. This is how you do it. But I was being a nice guy this whole time, she just did this, all right. Keep trying to seek revenge against people and see what happens, because the cycle is never going to end. You try to seek revenge against someone, they're going to try to seek revenge against you, and then it's going to keep going. It's just first it's going to snowball and snowball and snowball. Y'all just going to have beef with somebody forever until someone finally says, this is just immature, and I got to let this go, and I got to grow up as a person myself. So yes, like the title of the original video, nice guys are usually the problem. Anyway, I love you all. I'm out.